You've tried to be agreeable. It cost you blood. Today, you stop paying. Self-respect is not a mood. It's a weapon. It's the unseen blade that makes the room adjust to your edges. When you carry standards like steel, people feel it in their nerves. They sense consequence. They measure their words. They step lighter around your name. That's not kindness. That's gravity. You become the center, and everything else orbits, willingly or not. Listen, the world doesn't honor requests. It honors realities. You are either a decree or a plea. Machiavelli warned you centuries ago, if you're not feared for your firmness, you'll be consumed for your softness. Respect is not given, it is priced, and your price is whatever you tolerate. So raise it, speak less, decide faster, withdraw sooner, reward loyalty, punish games, keep the gate high and the gatekeeper colder than your smile. When you treat yourself like a sovereign, alliances appear. When you act like a servant, appetites gather. Here's the dark discovery: this video exists to burn into you. Master yourself with ruthless clarity, and the world will prefer compliance over conflict. They will call it charisma. It is control. They will call it luck. It is law. Comment: I am my own decree. If you feel the shift starting now, this is your pivot. First law, the iron law of self-respect. The world studies you in silence. Every glance, every hesitation, every word you allow becomes your contract with reality. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. That is the iron law of self-respect. And once it's broken, once you show weakness, you invite wolves to the table. This isn't paranoia, it's power psychology. Predators sense uncertainty. They smell doubt. And Machiavelli knew that doubt is death. He wrote that men are quick to exploit those who are unsure of their worth. It isn't morality that protects you, it is severity. Understand this: self-respect is not some soft affirmation, it is a code of survival. When you raise your standards, you draw lines in stone. You communicate without begging that you are not accessible to the trivial, the disloyal, the disrespectful. You become expensive. People pay attention when you are expensive. They tread carefully. The moment you cheapen yourself, every exchange turns costly, but not for them, for you. You can walk into a room and say nothing, and yet, if your posture and your silence radiate conviction, others will adjust their energy, not because they want to, but because they have to. It's the law of dominance. It's why generals command without shouting. It's why kings don't negotiate with peasants. You embody consequence, and consequence enforces respect better than any speech ever could. Self-respect is not arrogance. Arrogance is insecure noise. Self-respect is silent certainty. It doesn't scream, it chills. It doesn't flex, it endures. It says, "You will lose me before I lose myself." And that line alone terrifies people more than any threat. The human mind bends toward those who refuse to bend. So here's your first command: stop asking for respect. Demand it by becoming the kind of man who would never betray himself. Others will fall in line. Comment: iron law activated. If you understand that from today, your worth is non-negotiable. Second law: why the world obeys power, not pleas. Every man who ever begged for respect ended up stripped of it. Pleas are invitations to be ignored. Power, on the other hand, commands obedience without debate. Machiavelli warned, "It is far safer to be feared than loved, because love is voluntary, but fear compels." People admire a request until it inconveniences them, but they obey power even when they resent it. That is the ugly, unshakable truth. When you plead, you lower your value. You admit dependence. You expose hunger. Hunger is weakness in the eyes of the strong. It tells the world you'll compromise. And compromise is blood in the water. Watch how people shift the moment you stop asking and start declaring. The tone changes, the posture changes. They don't have to like you, but they recognize you. Recognition is respect. Respect built on necessity, not sentiment. Look at history. Kings didn't beg their subjects for loyalty. They enforced it. Generals didn't plead with armies to march. They commanded them, and the army obeyed. Why? Because authority does not negotiate with the masses. Authority creates reality. You must become that kind of authority in your own life. A man of decree, not of request. A man whose very presence communicates, this is how it will be. Self-respect is the foundation, but projection of power is the wall around it. The world respects walls. No one respects open gates. When you beg, you open the gate to anyone. When you command, you force them to knock, to wait, to prove themselves worthy to step inside. Pleading makes you replaceable. Commanding makes you rare. Here's the Machiavellian edge. Respect extracted through power lasts longer than respect granted through pity. The first builds empire. The second builds chains. Decide which you're building. From today, cut every tone of begging out of your language. Speak in terms of choice, not need. Declare, do not request. Let others feel the weight of consequence when dealing with you. Comment, power is my language, if you understand this shift. Because once you stop pleading, you'll realize the world has no choice but to obey. Third law, the mirror principle. The world is your reflection, and it does not lie. Every insult you tolerate, every slight you ignore, every time you allow yourself to shrink, you teach the mirror how to treat you. People take their cues from your posture, your tone, your boundaries. If you walk like you owe the world something, it will collect. If you walk like the world owes you nothing, it will still pay tribute. This is the mirror principle. Others mirror the respect you show yourself. Machiavelli's cold wisdom reminds us that appearances govern obedience more than truth. You don't need to be invincible. You need to look untouchable. If you walk with conviction, the crowd assumes consequence. If you move with hesitation, the crowd assumes permission. The reflection you cast determines how they act. This is why weak men drown in disrespect. They present a reflection of weakness and invite attack. The predator does not think. He simply reacts to what's in front of him. Show prey, and you are hunted. Show predator, and you are left alone. The secret lies in discipline. Guard how you treat yourself when no one is watching. Your inner dialogue leaks into your outer presence. Call yourself unworthy, and your energy bends your shoulders, dulls your eyes, breaks your rhythm. Treat yourself like a sovereign, and the world receives the signal. Approach with care. No one mirrors a broken king. They mirror a crowned one. The power is not in demanding respect directly. It is in embodying the standard so ruthlessly that others reflect it back without question. The mirror never hesitates. It only copies. That's why your self-respect is destiny. Not because the world chooses it, but because the world is programmed to replicate it. From this moment, stop carrying yourself as if waiting for approval. Stand, move, speak as if the crown is already on your head. And the mirror, the world, will adjust. Comment, the mirror bows to me, if you see that reflection sharpening already. Fourth law, cold boundaries, cold respect. Respect bleeds away the moment you tolerate intrusion. Boundaries are the architecture of power. They are not requests, they are walls. Cold, unshakable, and indifferent. When you allow people to step over your line once, they don't step back. They keep walking until you disappear. Machiavelli wrote that men are ungrateful, fickle liars by nature. Do not be shocked by this. Expect it. Guard against it. The only antidote is discipline. Cold boundaries force others to adjust their behavior because the cost of crossing you is higher than the reward of testing you. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The man with no limits becomes every man's tool. The man with razor-sharp limits becomes untouchable. You don't need to shout or argue. You enforce with action. You withdraw, you deny, you cut off, and you do it without ceremony. Detachment terrifies people because it shows you are ruled by principle, not emotion. You cannot be bribed with flattery or manipulated by guilt. Cold boundaries remind the world that your respect cannot be purchased. It must be earned. And once earned, it must be protected, not abused. When people know you'll end the relationship, the deal, the friendship, the moment disrespect shows its face, they either sharpen their conduct or eliminate themselves from your orbit. Both outcomes serve you. Do not let pity sabotage your power. Mercy has its place, but only once respect is secured. Without boundaries, you are not kind, you are disposable. With them, you are not harsh, you are necessary. Coldness is not cruelty, it is survival. It is how the lion rests without fear among jackals. So build walls, guard the gate, and if anyone tests the steel, let them feel how quickly it closes. Comment, "My walls command respect if you understand that the world only values what it cannot freely consume." Fifth law, fear, admiration, and the dark balance. Machiavelli's timeless strike of wisdom was brutal in its clarity. It is safer to be feared than loved. Love is fragile, unreliable, and vanishes the moment it is inconvenient. Fear, however, endures. Yet, the modern man resists this truth, clinging to the illusion that admiration alone will secure loyalty. It won't. You can inspire admiration, but without the backbone of fear, admiration quickly turns into envy, gossip, or betrayal. The dark balance lies in becoming both admired and feared, a paradox that few can master, but the ones who do shape empires. Respect forged in fear is cold steel. Admiration without fear is thin glass. When people admire you but do not fear losing you, they treat you as decoration. They take from you, lean on you, and eventually dismiss you. When people admire you and fear crossing you, they guard their words, they weigh their actions, and they seek your approval carefully. This is the psychology of power. To be valued, you must first be dangerous. Danger does not mean recklessness. It means consequence. The man respected is the man who can remove himself, deny access, or retaliate swiftly. Fear works where love fails, but combine fear with a trace of admiration, and you create devotion. People follow, not because they want to, but because they must, and because secretly they crave the security of your dominance. This balance doesn't come from theatrics. It comes from living as a fortress, unmoved by flattery, unshaken by rejection, cold in enforcement, yet brilliant in display. You shine enough to be admired, but you cut enough to be feared. That paradox is your crown. Without it, you'll be liked, but never respected. With it, the world bends. Comment, I command both fear and admiration if you understand that the strongest men live in the balance, not in the illusion of being liked. Sixth law, the silent power of withdrawal. The most terrifying power is not in your words, but in your silence. Withdrawal is a weapon sharper than any threat because it cuts without warning and leaves no room for negotiation. People expect resistance. They expect argument. They expect noise. What they do not expect, what unsettles them to their core, is the cold disappearance of your presence. When you withdraw, you communicate one truth louder than any speech. I do not need you. And in that moment, the ground shifts. Because the greatest leverage in any relationship, business, or alliance is not what you can give, it is what you can deny. Machiavelli knew this well. Men are driven by self-interest. If you want loyalty, you must make them fear the cost of losing you more than they value the comfort of having you. Withdrawal rewires the psychology of those around you. They begin to replay every word, every action, wondering where they crossed the line, wondering how they lost access. Doubt becomes their prison, and you are the warden without lifting a finger. Silence makes them louder. Absence makes them chase. Your withdrawal is proof of self-respect, because only the man who knows his worth can remove himself from disrespect without hesitation. Weak men cling. Strong men walk. The world does not admire the cling. It devours it. The world respects the man who leaves without announcement, who vanishes without explanation, who allows others to taste the cold emptiness of his absence. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. When you withdraw, you create scarcity. Scarcity breeds value. What is scarce is feared. What is abundant is abused. You must train yourself to become scarce at will. Never let people feel they own unlimited access to your time, your energy, your presence. Let them earn it. Let them sweat for it. And if they fail to respect it, let them lose it completely. That lesson is unforgettable because nothing haunts the human mind like the silence of someone who once gave attention. They will call you ruthless. They will call you cold. Let them. Their names for you are admissions of your control. Understand this. Silence is not retreat. It is dominance without exertion. Walking away does not mean defeat. It means you set the terms of engagement. You dictate the value of your presence by being willing to withhold it. Every time you vanish, your aura multiplies. Every time you withdraw, your respect compounds. This is the power of absence. This is how kings make the court tremble. From now on, stop explaining your departure. Stop apologizing for distance. Stop justifying silence. Withdraw like a blade sliding back into its sheath. Quiet, precise, and final. The echo it leaves will do more damage than 1,000 words ever could. Comment, silence is my weapon if you understand that absence commands more fear than presence ever will. Seventh law, respect as a currency. Respect is not just an emotion. It is a currency, and like any currency, it circulates, it buys, it trades, and it compounds. The poor man in respect is exploited in every exchange. The rich man in respect gains without asking. Machiavelli understood this before economics had a name. Human interactions are governed by invisible economies, and the one who possesses respect dictates the market. Look at your life. Every opportunity you missed, every door that closed, every betrayal you endured can be traced back to a bankruptcy of respect. You let others underprice you, so they treated you like a cheap commodity. But when you inflate your value through self-respect, the market shifts. Suddenly, others pay higher to have you, to keep you, to align with you. The dangerous truth is that respect multiplies when hoarded. The more you demand from yourself, the more the world pays in return. But the reverse is just as ruthless. Devalue yourself once, and your market collapses. This is why you must treat self-respect as currency in every room you walk into. It is not arrogance to demand proper exchange. It is survival. If you pour time into someone who offers nothing but disrespect, you are spending your wealth on a black hole. If you lower your standards to gain approval, you are printing counterfeit bills. That inflation will destroy you. The wise Machiavellian learns to guard his currency like gold, never wasted, always invested in alliances that grow it further. Think of respect as interest-bearing. Each time you enforce your boundaries, your stock rises. Each time you walk away from disrespect, your value appreciates. Each time you honor your word and sharpen your skills, your reputation compounds. People begin to speak your name differently. They attach weight to it. They mention it with caution, with curiosity, with reverence. That is the market responding to your economy. And when your economy is strong, influence becomes effortless. You don't chase alliances, they chase you. You don't beg for loyalty, it is offered because your respect is too expensive to risk losing. But here is the darker layer. Respect can also be weaponized. You can grant it sparingly like rare currency and watch people crave more. You can withdraw it suddenly, collapsing someone else's economy, leaving them scrambling for your approval. This is not kindness, it is leverage. The man who learns to regulate respect like money becomes untouchable because everyone knows their survival in the market depends on his valuation. That is why self-respect is not optional. It is the central bank of your existence. Guard it, grow it, weaponize it. From now on, spend it like a king, not a beggar. Comment, I trade only in respect if you understand that every interaction is a transaction and your worth is the only currency that matters. Eighth law, crushing disrespect before it grows. Disrespect is a seed. Left unchecked, it grows roots, spreads branches, and eventually overshadows you until you are suffocated under its weight. The Machiavellian mind understands that small signs of contempt are not accidents, they are tests. People will always probe, always push, always search for weakness. If you let it slide once, you give permission for escalation. What starts as a joke at your expense becomes routine mockery. What begins as a missed obligation turns into open betrayal. What looks like a small trespass becomes systemic erosion of your power. That is why you must crush disrespect immediately, mercilessly, and without apology. Power psychology dictates that the first act of disrespect is not about the act itself. It is about the signal it sends to the observer. If one person can get away with violating your boundaries, the crowd assumes it is safe to follow. Weak men ignore this. Strong men retaliate swiftly, but retaliation does not mean reckless rage. Rage is emotional, predictable, and easily exploited. Cold retaliation is surgical. It is precise, deliberate, and leaves no confusion. Sometimes it means removing your presence from someone's life without explanation. Sometimes it means cutting a deal short. Sometimes it means confronting directly with icy clarity. This will never happen again. What matters is not noise, but consequence. Consequence engraves itself into memory. People do not respect warnings, they respect scars. Once you establish yourself as a man who tolerates no disrespect, others instinctively fall in line because they fear the cost of crossing you. Machiavelli himself advised princes to stamp out conspiracies in their infancy because hesitation only emboldens enemies. The same is true in your daily life. Act late and the disease spreads. Act early and the infection dies instantly. This cold enforcement has another hidden effect. It raises your value. When people witness your refusal to tolerate disrespect, they recalibrate how they treat you. They realize you are expensive to deal with, and expensive things are handled with care. If you enforce respect consistently, you create an aura. That aura does the work for you, protecting you before words are even spoken. People will whisper warnings about you behind your back, not insults. They will advise caution, not mockery. That is how power sustains itself, through fear wrapped in respect. The cost of crushing disrespect may be the loss of a person, an opportunity, or temporary comfort. But the reward is immeasurable. You preserve your sovereignty. Without sovereignty, nothing else matters. So, from this moment, sharpen your instinct to strike at the first hint of dishonor. Do not hesitate. Do not negotiate with contempt. Comment, "I crush disrespect at its root." If you understand that power is not lost in a moment, it is surrendered over time, one ignored insult at a time. Ninth law, the aura of untouchability. But power is not always in what you say or what you do. It is in what others believe about you before you even arrive. The greatest weapon a man can build is not an army, not wealth, not charm, but an aura, the invisible shield of untouchability. This aura makes people second-guess before they test you, makes rivals hesitate before they strike, makes allies lean toward you without knowing why. Machiavelli understood that perception creates more obedience than truth ever will. If you appear unshakable, you will be treated as unshakable. If you project doubt, you invite assault. And here lies the cold psychology. People rarely investigate reality. They respond to signals. The aura you carry determines their response. An aura of untouchability is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud, desperate, and obvious. Untouchability is silent, disciplined, and mysterious. It radiates from self-respect, so deeply rooted that others feel it before you speak. You walk into a room and carry yourself as if no insult can bruise you, no loss can shatter you, no rejection can dent you. This does not mean you are invulnerable. It means you embody invulnerability. It is theater, but theater so convincing it becomes reality. And in power, perception is reality. The Machiavellian knows that men obey shadows as much as they obey steel. You must learn to cast a shadow larger than yourself. How do you build this aura? First, by mastering detachment. When you show no desperation, no hunger, no need, people feel you cannot be controlled. Need is a leash. Freedom is armor. When you show that you can walk away from anything, money, status, even relationships, you terrify those who depend on those things for their identity. Detachment creates mystique. Second, by enforcing consequence with cold precision. If you let disrespect slide, your aura cracks. But if you crush it instantly, without theatrics, your aura hardens. People begin to tell stories about you, and those stories become part of your myth. He doesn't tolerate weakness. She never bends. He walked away without looking back. Reputation builds aura faster than words ever can. Third, by cultivating silence. The more you speak, the more people can measure you, predict you, and prepare for you. But when you speak less, every word carries weight. Every silence forces them to imagine what you are thinking, and the human mind fears what it cannot know. Machiavelli himself advised rulers to hide their intentions, to never reveal their whole hand. Mystery is a form of dominance, because the unknown always feels larger than the known. When you say little, you become unpredictable, and the unpredictable are treated with caution. Fourth, by controlling your presence. Everything from your posture to your gaze communicates whether you are prey or predator. The aura of untouchability comes from precision, calm movements, steady eyes, controlled gestures. You never fidget, never rush, never look lost. You own the space, even if the space does not belong to you. A lion in another man's territory is still a lion. When you carry yourself with composure, people project strength onto you. They assume you know more, see more, can do more. This assumption is often enough to secure your advantage. Fifth, by mastering the art of scarcity. Do not make yourself common. Do not give unlimited access to your time, your energy, or your presence. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. When you are scarce, every moment with you feels like a privilege. People respect what they cannot easily touch. They respect what feels rare. The aura of untouchability thrives on rarity. Do not confuse this with isolation. Scarcity does not mean invisibility. It means deliberate control of exposure. Appear enough to be remembered, disappear enough to be desired. Finally, by cultivating the inner fortress. No aura can survive if your inner world is fragile. You must harden your mind against insults, rejection, and chaos. Train yourself to remain calm when others panic, composed when others lose control, silent when others shout. The stronger your inner fortress, the stronger your outer aura. And the truth is, people can sense it. They can feel when a man is governed by himself, not by the world. That feeling, more than anything, makes you untouchable. The aura of untouchability is not built in a day. It is forged in discipline, in boundaries, in silence, in consequence, in presence. Once established, it follows you everywhere, a shadow larger than your body. People adjust themselves around you, not because you demand it, but because they cannot help it. They fear the cost of disrespecting you, and they crave the security of being in your orbit. That is real power, not in raising your voice, not in constant battles, but in bending reality through perception. From today, make yourself untouchable. Let your aura precede you. Let it whisper your reputation before you speak. Comment, "I am untouchable," if you are ready to build the shield that makes the world fall in line. 10th law, self-respect as destiny. Every man is writing his destiny, line by line, through the way he treats himself. The world is not writing your fate. You are, and the ink is self-respect. If you carry yourself with weakness, the world scripts tragedy for you. If you carry yourself with sovereignty, the world scripts victory. Machiavelli knew this truth well. Fortune favors the bold, but it bows to the disciplined. Men beg for destiny, but destiny bows only to those who demand respect first from themselves. Your life bends to your standards because standards are laws, and laws shape nations, empires, legacies. The man without self-respect becomes dust, blown by every gust of chance. The man with self-respect becomes stone, unmovable, commanding the landscape. You must decide now which one you will be. Think about how power works in the world. Leaders are not obeyed because they shout the loudest. They are obeyed because their presence carries weight. That weight is self-respect, forged into aura, boundaries, silence, and consequence. The same principle applies to your life. Every choice you make either adds weight or subtracts it. When you betray yourself for approval, you lose weight. When you keep your word to yourself, you gain it. When you let others cross your boundaries, you lose weight. When you enforce consequence, you gain it. Slowly, over time, your life tips one way or another. And then, one day, people treat you exactly as you have trained them to. They follow your law, or they trample you. There is no middle ground. Self-respect is not an accessory. It is not a motivational quote on a wall. It is your foundation, your weapon, your shield, your compass. Without it, you are naked in a battlefield. With it, you are armored even when you stand alone. And here is the cold truth. You will stand alone. There will be nights when no one believes in you, days when no one claps, hours when you wonder if walking away was worth it. In those moments, only self-respect keeps you from crawling back to chains. That is why it is destiny. It is the only constant. Every alliance, every victory, every possession can be stripped, but self-respect, if protected, cannot be stolen. And when all else burns, it rebuilds empires. The psychology of power is merciless. People do not follow men who despise themselves. They sense weakness the way wolves sense blood. If you cannot look in the mirror with certainty, do not expect the crowd to kneel. Machiavelli warned that men are loyal only when it is convenient, but they will fear and respect those who rule themselves without compromise. Rule yourself, and the world feels compelled to obey. Fail to rule yourself, and you are ruled by everyone. That is the dark wisdom that most never learn until too late. Destiny is not found, it is constructed, and you construct it with self-respect. Each refusal to tolerate disrespect is a brick. Each decision to keep your word is another. Each cold boundary, each silent withdrawal, each moment of discipline stacks stone upon stone. One day you wake up surrounded by a fortress, not built by others, not inherited, but earned. And in that fortress, you are untouchable. Opportunities flow to you, alliances form around you. Enemies hesitate before crossing you. Why? Because the fortress is visible in your eyes, in your voice, in your silence. You have become law, and law does not ask permission. Law dictates. But understand this, the path is not soft. Self-respect demands sacrifice. You will lose people, you will lose comfort, you will lose illusions. Yet what you gain is unshakable. You gain the ability to stand alone without fear. You gain the ability to say no without hesitation. You gain the power to walk away from anything that insults your worth. And when you gain these, you gain destiny. Because destiny is not about chance, it is about control. Control over yourself first, and then, by extension, over the world around you. Look back at your life. Count the times you allowed disrespect, and see how each one carved weakness into your story. Now imagine if you had crushed it, enforced consequence, raised your price. How different would your life look? That future is still available, but it begins only when you decide that self-respect is non-negotiable. From today, you must be ruthless, with yourself, with others, with the world. Because the man who respects himself ruthlessly will never be ignored. He will never be disposable. He will never be forgotten. He becomes his own destiny, and the world has no choice but to fall in line. So, here is your command. Live as if your self-respect is the crown on your head. Do not remove it for anyone. Do not lower it for comfort. Do not trade it for approval. Build your fortress, enforce your law, wield your silence, and guard your worth like treasure. If you do this, destiny will not be something you chase. It will be something you embody. Comment right now, "I am my own destiny," to seal this truth into your blood. And if you're ready to step deeper into this path of power, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next lesson may be the one that changes everything.